Guys, this is RR&R Reviews here, coming at you again with a new review of the DX Gavarian Trigger Super Narikiri set. You can see Gavan Infinity in the middle, Bushido on the left, and Luminous on the right, in this glorious packaging. This is super exciting to review a toy of a brand new franchise. On the back of the box, you can see everything this thing can do, from being a spaceship to being a robot to being just a gun. This is going to be really exciting. I'm excited to get this unboxed. Alright, now that this has been unboxed, here's just a quick look at all of the emo gears that you can expect in this Super Narikiri set. So here is the Gavarian Trigger in all of its glory. Honestly, a bit of a weird gun, considering that you can obviously tell that its robot legs are just sticking out of the back, and this is clearly meant to be an arm, but still a pretty cool looking weapon. And of course we have the emo gears, which are going to be Gavan Infinity's premier gimmick item for however long it's going to run. So these are really cool. So each one represents an emotion, and you can press the top of their heads to change their expressions. So they go from having a pretty standard expression, this is the Gekido or Rage emo gear, to being super expressive, in this case super angry, to having a robot head. And they even have a backside to them, but for some reason, their butt changes too. Very odd detail. But I really like these little guys. They're fun to fidget around with and fun to mess around with when we get it in this weird gun changer thing, which we will do very shortly. And by very shortly, I mean like right now. Alright, so let's transform into Gavan Infinity. First with the Gekido emo gear. So plop this into the slot here. And then press the trigger. And now we have successfully turned into Gavan Infinity. And first, let's see if we can trigger any attack sounds. We're pressing the trigger. Okay, pretty standard. And then if you press down on the emo gear, you activate Emotional Burst. Let's press the trigger again. That was a bit cooler, but yeah, that's pretty much the gist of these emo gears. Honestly, they're a pretty cool gimmick item, and I'm excited to see what more of them do. Now that we've demonstrated what the Gekido emo gear can do, let's transform into Gavan Bushido with Hisou, or Sorrow. Gekido was Rage, but our samurai themed Gavan, it has an emotion based off of sadness and sorrow. So let's see what that's like. Oh, and to do a quicker version of the henshin without the narration, you just hold the trigger. activate his emotional burst. We do this. And finally, for the main transformation, emo gears, we have Conky. I almost forgot to hold the trigger there, otherwise I'd have to go through the whole narration again. But let's do an emotional burst. Last but not least, well, we still need to get to this guy, but otherwise, let's just knock out these minor emo gear out of the way. Yeah, so with these types of emo gear, they only do the emotional burst, but you do get a nice little sound effect if you press on the trigger. So that's cool. And for the final emo gear that we'll be covering, it'll be this ship emo gear. I'm not really sure if it has a name, but this will be what you'll be using to activate the noises for the Cosmo Gavarian, and also to turn this thing into a robot. You can flip this guy's head to reveal the robot head, which is really cool. And we're going to see what noises this has to turn this thing into its ship mode. So just let's put this in the trigger. And now the trigger is now in ship mode. And really, to turn it into the ship, all you need to do is flip this upside down and just fold up these wings that are near the legs of what's going to be the robot. And there's your ship mode. This looks really weird. Not as weird as the gun, because at least you have this cockpit and these wings to give off the illusion of some sort of like spaceship. But yeah, it's definitely weirdly proportioned. You can definitely tell that this thing was meant to turn into a robot first, and all the other modes were kind of secondary. But it's still all right. I don't mind this. Okay, so now that we have this in spaceship mode, it's time to transform this into a giant robot. So first things first, you want to flip this back up into its gun mode. Flip the wings down. You're going to want to remove this little guy and then insert him back into the slot. And now you're going to go about transforming him. So flip down this blaster piece, unfurl the legs. Again, this is a pretty simple transformation, much like the spaceship. Get them nice and straight, and then unfurl the head. And there you have the robot mode. Of course, there is still some attack sounds you can trigger with this thing. So if we lift this up and we press the trigger, you get that, and the light still goes off whenever you just make a generic attack. I think if you hold it though, we should get an emotional burst. There we go. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I feel like this is the most fully realized out of the three modes, just because like there's no dangling parts anywhere that are meant to conceal anything. This is definitely what this thing was supposed to turn into, and it's probably something the engineers prioritized when making this Gavarian. Of course, this thing isn't going to have a whole lot of articulation just because it has to do several things all at once. You can rotate the arm all the way forwards and backwards. You can move the blaster side to side, but it is impeded going left, of course. This spare arm also moves all the way forward and backwards. You can kind of stretch it a little bit, but yeah, and it's kind of about it when it comes to the upper body, really. Of course, this can twist around due to how the transformation works, and funnily enough, you can get this thing into a nice split pose, but other than that, that's really all the articulation you're going to get out. So for a quick size comparison, here he is with a recently reviewed toy, the Beast Wars Vintage Scorponok. As you can see, pretty tiny compared to the Gavarian Trigger. Here's the Gavarian Trigger with the RX-78-4. This is the master grade of it. Here is the Gavarian Trigger next to the Tegasword, in case any Toku fans were wondering how they would scale next to each other. Here is the Gavarian Trigger next to the Playmates Dino Megazord. So overall, my thoughts on the Gavarian Trigger are pretty positive. I already really liked the Tegasword for how it was able to be a changer and also a mech, and that also translates pretty well to the Gavarian Trigger here, except it is doing a bit more. You obviously have the spaceship mode, and the transformation is a little bit more involved, even though it's pretty simple. But I don't know, I still really like the look of the robot mode. I like the emo gears a bit more than the Sentai rings. And yeah, I just think this is a bit of an upgrade compared to the Tegasword. Not by a whole lot, since the Tegasword is still one of my favorite Sentai changers, but I do have a feeling that the Gavarian Trigger is going to be a pretty great changer in its own right once we come around to see what the next Project R.E.D season will have to offer us. Anyway, this has been my look on the Gavarian Trigger, and this is RR&R Reviews signing out. I hope you guys have a great day. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.